Hello there, everyone. If you're watching this video, then you are part of the TTOR army, an army that is building itself up one subscriber at a time. Now, before we get into the topic of today's video, I'd like to bring you a very important PSA, and that is the existence of Quarter, which is an open source alt-tech alternative to YouTube that I created and launched a few months back. And it is something that is definitely worth investing your time into, especially if you're a content creator. In terms of features and functionality, Quarter is on par with YouTube. It has a lot of the same features you would expect to see on YouTube. Features like full-on HD uploads, including 4K uploads, live streaming, free restreaming, public playlists, an easy-to-use comment moderation system, a dashboard where you can track your channel and video analytics, at least the most basic kinds of analytics. But there's also features on Quarter that you won't find on YouTube, such as the ability to earn quarter bucks. Quarter bucks is an insight currency that you earn by getting views on your uploads, and when you get enough quarter bucks, you can use your quarter bucks to promote your individual videos or your entire channel on the main page of the site, like VJ TV did and like I'm currently doing. You also can do video chat rooms, which basically function like the old Google Hangouts or like Skype, where you can do video chats with people, you can create polls, you can talk text, and you can basically do any kind of video conferencing or video calls that you want. And you can also live stream to your channel from these chat rooms. And more important than all the features and functionality of Quarter, Quarter also champions freedom of speech in practice, not just word. There are no hate speech policies, there's no shadow banning, there's no algorithm that only allows certain topics to trend or allow certain topics to get views and videos on other topics get buried. None of that's going on here. So if you want a video sharing site that champions freedom of speech in practice as well as word and has a lot of features and functionality that you would enjoy that give even YouTube a run for its money, I would encourage you to join Quarter and start using it today. Now, the topic of today's video is actually about the term globalist. And the globalists are now trying to convince us that the term globalist itself is an anti-Semitic slur and no one should ever say the word. Now, if you want proof that this is actually happening, let's turn your attention to this video on Odyssey that I was sent a link to a while ago. The video itself is called "Globalists Are Jewish Confirmed." Now, this is not true, but the video is informative, so we're just going to watch the whole thing through because it's only 1 minute 28 seconds long, and then we're going to analyze it.
What else does he need to... Now, we've dealt with all of those things, Jerry. What I'd like to know is, because you say that you represent the average Tory member, what I'd like to know is, what do you think Rishi Sunak needs to do to prove his Britishness to the point where you believe Tory members would vote for him?
I don't doubt he's British, don't get me wrong.
You said he doesn't... Hang on. You said he doesn't love his country.
England.
He doesn't love England.
His family, his business, they seem to be globalists. They don't seem to love England. And you point out the furlough. Well, we actually see it differently. He gave away £400 billion and practically bankrupted our economy over the idiotic furlough payment.
He did not bankrupt the economy. That's factually incorrect. He did not bankrupt the economy. Also, may I ask you, hang on, Jerry, as we carry on, this is very important, Jerry. As we carry on this conversation, please don't use the phrase globalist again, because many of my Jewish listeners will find that incredibly offensive, because it has also been used at times as a racist put down to the Jewish community. So carry on, Jerry. If you wouldn't mind answering...
That's not true. That's not true. I don't mean Jewish. If I meant Jewish, I'd say Jewish.
I did not...
is somebody who has
Jerry, once more, I'm going to give you one more chance. I have explained to you that many members of the Jewish community are offended by that phrase. Please do not use it.
And that is the entire clip. So let's sum it up this way. The caller, Jerry, calls into this show on LBC and basically talks about how this guy, this prime minister, what's his face? Rishi Sunak, the new UK Prime Minister. Basically, Jerry points out that Sunak is a globalist whose family and his business basically does business globally, and they have no loyalty to England, and basically they're citizens of the world, which is basically what globalists are. They're people who usually are very rich, and they don't have any particular allegiance to a country, especially the country that they live in, and they do business globally, and they just have no loyalty at all to any particular country. And the globalists in particular are elitists who think that they rule over the world, that they're better than everyone else, and therefore they have the right to rule over the world. And at the end of the day, the globalists want to reduce the population of the Earth down to 500 million people, which, since our current population just passed 8 billion, there's going to be some future genocides coming up that the globalists are going to do in order to get the number down to what they want. At least, logically, that's what they're going to have to do at some point. So this guy points out that this Sunak guy is a globalist. Nothing offensive about that, unless you're a globalist. So how does this lady respond? She says, oh, well, you can't use the term globalist because it's an anti-Semitic slur. And then Jerry points out what I think and what most normal people think when they think of the term globalist. He says, no, I'm not talking about Jews. If I was, I would say the Jews, but I'm talking about globalists. And then he tries to talk about how basically globalism is an international group of people that are not loyal to a country. But then she cuts him off and says, no, you can't use the term globalist because there are some Jewish people who think that it's an anti-Semitic slur because allegedly the term is occasionally used as one. Therefore, we can't ever say the term globalist. So there are more people than ever before, thanks to the internet age we live in, that are talking about and exposing the globalists and their twisted satanic agenda. And so as part of their effort to put the genie back in the bottle, the globalists are trying to convince us that the term globalist itself is an anti-Semitic slur. But this is no new strategy. Anytime you disagree with the globalists on something, or anytime you dissent from their agenda in any particular way at all, bigotry is usually the thing that is used as a tool to silence people. So if you don't affirm gay marriage or abortion, well, you're just a bigot. If you refuse to affirm the Democrat Party and their candidates, well, you're just a horrible bigot. If you are a Donald Trump supporter, or you believe in having a secure border where illegal aliens can't just come into the country willy-nilly, well, you're just a horrible bigot. If you don't believe that a handful of people in schools should be able to indoctrinate children and entire next generations into believing things that aren't true, well, you're just a bigot. Bigotry is a common tool that authoritarian groups use to suppress any kind of conversation about themselves or any exposure of themselves. So when the globalists try to convince us that the term globalist is an anti-Semitic slur, this is just an extension of a tool that they've been using for many, many years. When people run around saying that this little clip I just responded to proves that the globalists are the Jews and that basically Jewish and globalist are synonymous, they are wrong about that. But their thinking of that is not completely unjustified, because there are authoritarian Jewish groups in the world that call for people to be censored, and the platforms that they appeal to usually comply with them. For example, in February of last year, there was a Jewish organization called Community Security Trust that called on BitChute to censor Holocaust denial videos. Specifically videos that had like Hitler or Auschwitz or Nazi in the title of the video. And almost immediately, BitChute complied, and they wiped out for a year and a half all of the search results that provided videos with those terms in the title of the video. And then a few months back, BitChute undid that ban on their search engine search results, so now you can find all those videos again. But BitChute bent the knee almost immediately to this authoritarian Jewish group that's based in the UK. A whole bunch of other different groups had tried to get BitChute to censor people, and BitChute said no the entire time until a Jewish group in their own country did it, and that's when they complied, bent the knee, and censored people. And then in January of 2021, there were multiple content creators who got banned from Gab, most notably Terrence Popp, Charlie Brown AU, and Maddie Rose. And then what we found out in April of 2021 is that Gab actually banned Charlie Brown AU and Maddie Rose 5 months after those two content creators were listed by the Executive Council of Australian Jewry in a report where the two guys were listed as online anti-Semitic personalities. So we have seen wholesale censorship on alt-tech platforms as well as big tech platforms of people and topics at the behest of authoritarian Jewish groups like the Executive Council of Australian Jewry, like Community Security Trust, like the ADL, like the SPLC, etc. So when people think that globalists are Jews, it's not entirely unfounded because there are authoritarian Jewish groups that are on Team Globalist that call for the censorship of all kinds of things. But this does not mean that the globalists are Jews or that the globalists are Jewish in origin. The term globalist has always referred to these global elites, these international elitists who consider themselves citizens of the world and not any one particular country, and they think they're better than everyone else, and they think that they have the right to rule over everyone else, and that they ultimately have the right to reduce the population of the world down to 500 million people in order to usher in their utopia. That's who the globalists are. Can Jews be part of Team Globalist? Yes. Are there authoritarian Jewish groups that are actually on Team Globalist? Absolutely. We just looked at a couple of them in some of my videos I did a while ago. But this does not mean that the term globalist is Jewish in origin. This does not mean that the globalists are Jews or that the Jews are the primary demographic of Team Globalist. Not at all. As we're going to see in a future video of mine, when you look at Jewish history, especially in the Bible, you find out that the Jews commonly reject God and his commands to not be like the world, and they have a particularly nasty habit of wanting to do whatever the world is doing. So when the globalists, when the rest of the world are censoring people and trying to do all these horrible things to people, Jews, a lot of them anyway, naturally jump on board to that, and they start doing and partaking in those things too, just like they have throughout their entire history, as outlined in the Bible. But that's a topic we'll get to in a future video. For now, though, just take note that the globalists are trying to use anti-Semitism as a tool to censor all discussion about the globalists, and the way that they're doing it is that they're trying to convince you that the term globalist is an anti-Semitic slur when all of history and usage of the term indicates that no such thing is true.